Sam Cross stared at the official notification glowing on his tablet, convinced it was another government phishing scam. Congratulations, Citizen Cross. You have been selected as an accredited Daily Joy representative under Peace Treaty Clause 47B. Your first appointment is scheduled for 900 hours today. Thank you for your service to interplanetary harmony. He snorted and tossed the tablet onto his cluttered desk where it landed, between a half-empty coffee mug and the manuscript he'd been avoiding for weeks. His novel about Earth's triumphant victory over alien invaders seemed a lot less marketable, since the actual alien conflict had ended with humanity barely negotiating terms that wouldn't classify a surrender. Delete, he said, but the message remained stubbornly on screen. Delete spam, remove notification, go away. The tablet pinged again, this time with a payment notification. 500 universal credits had been deposited into his account, the standard government stipend for diplomatic services. What the hell? Sam muttered, reaching for the tablet. Maybe this wasn't a scam after all. The treaty with the emotions had been plastered across every newsfeed for months. The purple-kinned women from the Andromeda Galaxy had nearly decimated Earth's defenses before diplomats managed to forge an agreement. Sam hadn't paid much attention to the details, being more concerned with how to pay his rent since his last 3 sci-fi novels had tanked. Something about the aliens needing emotional stimulation to survive. He pulled up the treaty details on his screen and scrolled to Clause 47B. 1. In recognition of Emotarian physiological requirements, Earth citizens residing in mixed population sectors shall provide 1 standard session of emotional resonance. Daily TOAN assigned Emotarian counterpart sessions may include, but are not limited, to conversation of a stimulating nature, flirtation, romantic gestures, physical contact, declarations of affection, or deeper forms of emotional physical assistance, if mutually consented to by both parties. Sam froze, his finger hovering over the screen. You have got to be kidding me. He glanced around his apartment, a chaotic 1-bedroom unit cluttered with unwashed dishes, discarded takeout containers, and stacks of reference books. The place smelled like 3-day-old pizza and desperation. Not exactly. A diplomatic reception area. Computer call treaty enforcement office, he said, his voice cracking. After 20 minutes of automated responses and being transferred between departments, he finally reached a human registry office. How may I help you aboard? Voice answered. Yeah, I just received notification that I've been selected as a Sam checked the wording. Again, Daily Joy representative, but there must be some mistake. I didn't sign up for this. Name and citizen ID. Sam Cross, ID 2471 ECX 89032. A pause. Yes, Mr. Cross. Your residence at Apex Towers Unit 1742 has been registered as an Accelerated Distribution Daily Joy Center. Selection was random based on your sector and demographic profile. Is there a problem with your notification? Yes, there's a problem. I didn't volunteer for this participation in the treaty. Provisions is mandatory for all eligible citizens, Mr. Cross. It's part of the peace agreement. Would you prefer to revisit the alternative? The clerk's voice had developed an edge. Everyone knew what the alternative meant. Before the treaty, Emotarian warships had destroyed 3 major cities. No, Butte, excellent. Your first appointment is at 900 hours. Please ensure your living quarters are presentable and that you are prepared to provide a positive emotional experience. Failure to comply will result in penalties as outlined in Section 12 of the Enforcement Code. But wait, what am I supposed to? The line went dead. Sam checked the time, 1742. Less than an hour and a half to transform his apartment from a writer's cave into something that wouldn't horrify an alien diplomat. He muttered, scrambling to his feet. Computer order cleaning service, priority rush. All cleaning services in your sector are currently at maximum capacity. The AI responded, cheerfully. Of course they were. Every other poor bastard who'd received this notification was probably panic cleaning too. Sam spent the next hour in a frenzy, stuffing trash into bags, hiding dirty laundry in his closet, and scrubbing surfaces that hadn't seen a cleaning cloth since he'd moved in. He even found some ancient air freshener under the sink, though the mountain spring scent had degraded into something closer to chemical warfare. At 1855, sweating and disheveled, he surveyed his handiwork. The apartment looked less disastrous. He'd even changed into clean clothes and run a sonic toothbrush over his teeth. Computer. What exactly am I supposed to do with an emotarian? He asked, straightening a stack of books for the third time. According to public service announcements, emotarians require regular emotional stimulation to maintain optimal health. Earthmen have been determined to be compatible providers of such stimulation. Yeah. But how methods vary, but may include engaging conversation, compliments, flirtation, and the doorbell chimed. Sam froze, staring at the door as if it might explode 5 minutes early. Were aliens always punctual? The doorbell chimed, again more insistently this time. Identity scan. Sam whispered to his security system. The door panel displayed an image of a tall, slender woman with lavender skin, wearing what appeared to be a formal diplomatic uniform, in shimmering silver. Her hair was a deep violet styled in a complex arrangement that defied Earth fashion. Her features were mostly human-like but with subtle differences. Eyes slightly larger and more angled cheekbones, higher nose, more delicate. Authorized Emotarian diplomatic representative, the security system reported. Clearance verified. Taking a deep breath, Sam straightened his shoulders and opened the door. Up close, she was even more striking. She stood, nearly 7 feet tall, towering over his 6-foot frame. Her skin wasn't just purple but seemed to shimmer with subtle iridescence, and her eyes, they were the color of amethysts, with no whites, just solid purple irises that seemed to glow from within. Samuel Cross. Her voice was melodic with an accent he couldn't place. Something between British and something else entirely. Sam. Yes, that's me. Hewen said at his own awkwardness. She extended a hand, long-fingered, elegant, with nails that appeared to be made of some crystalline substance. I am Leantia House of Newer, 4th Tier, emotional regulator for the Emotarian Diplomatic Corps. Sam took her hand, surprised by the warmth of her skin. Nice to meet you. I'm a writer, not a diplomat, so I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to. May I enter? She interrupted, one delicate eyebrow arching upward. Right. Sorry, please come in. He stepped aside, suddenly hyper-aware of every imperfection in his hastily cleaned apartment. Leantia glided past him, a subtle scent following her, something like jasmine, but with an electric undertone. As if the fragrance carried its own current. She surveyed the room with an expression that might have been disdain or simple curiosity. It was hard to tell. I apologize for any inadequacies, Sam said, gesturing vaguely. I wasn't expecting company, especially not, alien company. Not that there's anything wrong with aliens, I mean your people, the Emotarians. I just wasn't prepared for. You are nervous, she stated matter-of-factly, turning to face him. That is unnecessary. This is a standard procedure. Standard for you, maybe. For me, it's a first. Her lips curved slightly. A first for both of us. I've not previously engaged with an Earth male in an official capacity. Something about the way she said official capacity made Sam's face heat up. So how does this work exactly? He asked, shoving his hands into his pockets. The notification wasn't big on details. Leantia moved to his couch and gracefully seated herself, her silver uniform catching the light with every movement. I believe your vernacular term is flirtation. Species requires regular emotional resonance to maintain neurochemical balance. Your species has been deemed compatible providers of such resonance. Right, because nothing says romance like government-mandated flirting. Sam muttered to his surprise. Leantia's lips twitched in what might have been amusement. You employ sarcasm. Interesting. Many Earth males utilize humor as a defensive mechanism when uncomfortable. Not defensive, just processing. Sam reluctantly sat down next to her, leaving what he hoped was a respectful distance. So I'm supposed to. What compliment you tell you jokes. I'm really out of practice with the whole flirting thing. Perhaps we could begin with simple conversation. She turned those unsettling purple eyes toward him. You mentioned you are a writer. What do you write? Science fiction. Ironically enough, Sam ran a hand through his already disheveled hair. Though I'm thinking of switching genres now that aliens are, real and nothing like what I wrote. What did you imagine? us to be there was genuine curiosity in her voice. Well, in my last book, the aliens were sort of gelatinous blobs with tentacles who wanted to harvest humans for food. Leontia's face remained impassive. How creative. Yeah. Not my finest work. Publishers. Thought the same thing. It's been rejected 12 times. Sam found himself relaxing slightly. Talking about his writing failures was familiar territory at least. Perhaps you should write about what is real now? She suggested about Imotarians. Sam laughed. What, like how I learned to stop worrying and love the alien dating protocol dating Lentia? Tilted her head, her expression puzzled. This is not dating Samuel Cross. This is a diplomatic health service. Joke, that was a joke. And please call me. Sam, she repeated, as if testing the name. Your humor is unusual but not unpleasant. Was that a compliment? Sam couldn't tell. So what do you do when you're not collecting emotions from awkward humans, he asked. I serve in the diplomatic corps. My specific function involves analyzing Earth culture for compatibility metrics. She straightened her already perfect posture. Your planet has fascinating emotional diversity. It is why you were selected for the program. Lucky us, Sam muttered. Leontia leaned forward slightly. You disapprove of the arrangement? I wouldn't say disapprove, more like bewildered. One day we're at war, the next I'm supposed to make alien women feel good through the power of small talk. It's not merely small talk, Leontia corrected. The emotional resonance we require is deeper, more intimate. The way she said intimate sent an unexpected shiver down Sam's spine. Are you cold? She asked, apparently noticing his reaction. No, I'm fine, just processing. He cleared his throat. So how does this work exactly? Do I just talk until you feel better, or is there some kind of, emotional meter I'm supposed to fill up? Leontia's eyes narrowed slightly. Your analogy to a game mechanic is simplistic, but not entirely inaccurate. We do experience a measurable response to emotional stimulus. She raised one crystalline nailed finger to a small device at her collar that Sam hadn't noticed before. This monitors my neurochemical levels. So it's like, what an alien mood ring I am unfamiliar with. This reference. Never mind, not important. Sam shifted on the couch, trying to find a comfortable position that didn't feel too casual or too formal. What kind of emotional stimulus works best, is there? A manual I should have read. Each Imotarian responds to different stimulus, said. Part of the process is discovering compatibility. Great Sammed trial and error, with potentially diplomatic consequences. No pressure. Leontia surprised him by laughing, a light tinkling sound like crystal wind chimes. You are amusing, Sam Cross. Your discomfort manifests as verbal creativity. I aim to please. The words slipped out before he could stop them, and he immediately felt his face flush. Yes, she said, her voice dropping to a lower register. That is precisely what you are meant to do. The air between them suddenly felt charged, like the moment before a lightning strike. Look, I should probably mention that I'm really not good at this kind of thing, Sam said, desperately trying to regain his footing. My last relationship ended 2 years ago, and even then I wasn't exactly Don Juan. Don Juan? She tilted her head again. Legendary seducer, Earth literature, not important. Sam waved a hand dismissively. The point is, I'm probably the worst person they could have picked for this. Leontia studied him for a long moment, her purple eyes seeming to see through his defenses. I disagree. Your neurotic energy is stimulating. Neurotic energy, gee, thanks you. Misunderstand, it was a compliment. She shifted slightly closer to him on the couch. Your emotional patterns are complex and vibrant. Many Earth males attempt to suppress their emotions. You express them freely, if awkwardly. So my awkwardness is good. It is authentic. Leontia's voice had softened. Authenticity resonates more powerfully than practice charm. The compliment, unexpected and seemingly genuine, caught Sam off guard. He felt a warmth spreading through his chest that had nothing to do with embarrassment. Well, that's a first, he said with a half smile. Usually my awkwardness just makes people uncomfortable. I am not uncomfortable, she assured him and moved closer. Still, Sam became acutely aware of her proximity. The subtle scent of her skin, the way her silver uniform caught the light, the strange beauty of her alien features that were simultaneously familiar and exotic. "So," he said, his voice lower than he'd intended, "what happens now?" "Now," Leontia said, reaching out to place one elegant hand on his forearm. "We explore emotional resonance." Her touch sent a jolt through Sam's body. Not unpleasant but intense, like static electricity, but warmer, deeper. He gasped involuntarily. "What was that?" he managed to ask. "Emotarian biochemistry allows us to amplify and reflect emotional currents," she explained, her eyes seeming to glow brighter. "It is how we communicate on a deeper level." "That's quite a party trick," Sam said, trying to maintain his composure, despite the lingering sensation from her touch. "It is no trick, it is connection." Her fingers still rested lightly on his arm. "Would you like to continue?" The rational part of Sam's brain told him this was bizarre, sitting in his apartment with an alien woman who could apparently manipulate emotions through touch. But another part, a part he hadn't acknowledged in a long time, was undeniably curious. "I'm game if you are," he said, meeting her gaze directly. For the first time, Leontia's lips curved in a smile that transformed her face, making her look less alien and more beautiful. "Then let us proceed." "Sam Cross, tell me something about yourself that few others know." "That's your idea of flirting, diving straight into the depersonal stuff. Emotional resonance requires vulnerability." She stated simply, "Surface interaction provides minimal effect." Sam considered this for a moment. Okay, something few people know. He paused, then sighed. "I haven't actually finished writing a new book in over a year. I just keep rewriting the same 3 chapters of a novel nobody wants." Her head tilted slightly. "This causes you pain?" "Failure usually does," he admitted. "Writing was the on thing. I thought I was good at why did you stop? I didn't stop, I just got stuck. The words used to flow and now they don't." He hadn't intended to reveal this much, but something about her direct gaze made the truth easier to speak. "You fear irrelevance," she said, not a question, but a statement. Sam flinched. "Harsh but accurate. I did not intend harshness." Her hand moved slightly on his arm, and that strange, warm sensation pulsed through him again. "I am observing your emotion on this subject is powerful." "Yeah, well, watching your career circle the drain will do that." "Perhaps you simply need new inspiration," Leontia suggested. Sam lawed suddenly, like aliens showing up and completely rewriting what we thought we knew about the universe. "Yeah, that might do. It does my presence inspire you, Sam Cross?" There was something in her tone that hadn't been there before, a subtle playfulness that caught him off guard. Yes. Actually, it does." The admission felt more intimate than he'd intended. Leontia's smile widened, and the device at her collar emitted a soft chime. "Your honesty creates strong resonance. Is that good? Very good," she murmured, her eyes now definitely glowing brighter. "Your turn to ask a question." Sam hesitated, then decided to mirror her directness. "Why did you really come here tonight? There must be thousands of men in this sector." "Why me? Assignment was random," she said. But something in her expression suggested otherwise. "I don't believe you," Sam challenged, surprising himself with his boldness. Leontia's eyebrows rose slightly. "You are perceptive. Unusual for a human on first contact, writer's intuition. We're good at spotting character inconsistencies." She seemed to deliberate for a moment before answering. "I requested an assignment to a creative professional. Your emotional spectrum promised to be more varied than average, so I'm an experiment." Sam wasn't sure if he should be offended or flattered. An opportunity, she corrected, her eyes never leaving his, for both Ophis, before Sam could respond. Leontia's fingers tightened slightly on his arm, and a wave of sensation washed over him. Not just the physical tingle from before, but an emotional current that felt like exhilaration and curiosity intertwined. It took his breath away. What was, that he gasped when he could speak again. "Taste of what we can share," she said, her voice deeper, almost husky. "Emotarians can project and amplify emotional states. This was merely a sample." Sam's heart was racing. "That's quite a sample. Would you like to experience more?" There was no mistaking the invitation in her voice now. Every instinct told Sam he was out of his depth, swimming in waters he couldn't begin to understand. But the writer in him, the part that had been dormant for too long, was suddenly vibrantly awake. "Yes," he said simply. "Show me more." Leantia's expression transformed into something almost predatory, yet not threatening. Eager. She shifted close, until their knees touched, then raised both hands to frame his face. "Close your eyes, Sam Cross." He complied, feeling vulnerable but oddly trusting. Her fingertips barely brushed his temples, but the effect was immediate and overwhelming. A cascade of sensations flooded through him. Wonder, excitement, discovery, pleasure, all magnified beyond anything he'd ever experienced. It wasn't just emotional, but seemed to vibrate through his entire body, as if every cell was resonating with the connection. Sam gasped, his eyes flying open to find Leantia's face inches from his own, her purple eyes luminous with shared emotion. "Holy shit," he breathed. An adequate response, she murmured, looking pleased, and slightly flushed her lavender skin, now bearing hints of deeper purple, across her cheeks. The device at her collar was pulsing with light. "Is that normal?" Sam asked, nodding toward the device. "No," she admitted. "The resonance is exceptionally strong. It appears we're highly compatible." "Lucky me," Sam said, but there was no sarcasm in his voice now. Only wonder. Leantia slowly lowered her hands, but the connection didn't completely fade. A subtle awareness lingered between them, like the afterglow of bright light behind closed eyelids. "Our session has been most productive," she said, her formal tone at odds with the intimacy of what they just shared. "Is that what we're calling it?" Sam found himself smiling. "A productive session. What would you call it?" she challenged, one eyebrow arching. "I don't know. Mind-blowing, transcended. Definitely not something I expected when I woke up this morning." "Nor I," she admitted. "The potential for resonance varies greatly between individuals. I did not anticipate such compatibility." "So what happens now?" Sam asked, suddenly aware that he didn't want her to leave. Leantia glanced at a slim device on her wrist. "Some kind of alien timepiece. Our allotted time for today is nearly complete. I must report the session results." "Report to whom?" "The Emotional Regulatory Commission," she said, standing in. "Run fluid motion. All initial encounters are documented for the treaty record." Sam stood as well, feeling oddly bereft as the distance between them increased. "Will there be another session?" Leantia adjusted her silver uniform, which had become slightly disheveled during their interaction. "That depends on multiple factors such as compatibility metrics, scheduling, algorithms, demographic distribution requirements." She trailed off, then looked directly at him again. "And personal request options." "Personal request options. If both parties express satisfaction with an initial encounter, they may request continued assignment." She explained, a hint of her earlier formality returning. "And if I wanted to express satisfaction?" Sam asked, surprised by his own boldness. The corner of Leantia's mouth curved upward. "There is a feedback form on your notification device." "How romantic," Sam said dryly. "Romance is not a treaty requirement." But there was something in her eyes that belied her words. They stood facing each other. For a moment, the air between them still charged with unspoken possibility. "Thank you for your service to interplanetary harmony," Sam Cross, Leantia finally said. But her tone made the formal words sound almost like a private joke between them. "My pleasure," he replied, the double meaning entirely intentional. Her eyes flashed with amusement indeed. She moved toward the door, then paused, turning back to face him. "Until next time." So there will be a next time. He couldn't keep the hope from his voice. Instead of answering directly, Leantia reached out and touched his hand briefly. A flash of anticipation and promise surged through him. "I would be interested in exploring the full spectrum of emotional resonance with you," she said, her formal phrasing at odds with the heat in her gaze. "If you are amenable." "I'm amenable," Sam said quickly. "Very amenable." She nodded, once seemingly satisfied, then opened the door. "Tomorrow, same time." And then she was gone, leaving Sam standing in his apartment with his heart racing and his mind reeling. He collapsed back onto the couch, running his hands through his hair as he tried to process what had just happened. His entire body felt alive in a way it hadn't in years, as if some dormant part of him had suddenly awakened. His tablet pinged with a notification: session complete. Please rate your experience and indicate preferences for future assignments. Sam picked it up and stared at the screen. The rating system was a simple scale from 1 to 5, with 1 being dissatisfactory and 5 being exceptional. Without hesitation, he tapped 5. A new field appeared. Would you prefer to A. Continue with current assignment, B. Request new assignment, opt out of program penalties, apply? He tapped A so quickly he nearly cracked the screen. As he set the tablet down, Sam suddenly realized he was smiling, really smiling for the first time in longer than he could remember. He glanced at the manuscript that had been gathering dust. On his desk for months. Compute, he said. Open new document. Working title: The Joy Protocol. Maybe this bizarre new reality wasn't so terrible after all. The next morning, Sam jerked awake to the sound of his doorbell. He'd fallen asleep at his desk, fingers still poised over his keyboard. For the first time in months, words had flowed from him like water breaking through a dam. 17 pages of raw material for his new novel, inspired by his encounter with Leontia. The doorbell chimed again, more insistently. Coming. He stumbled to the door, still wearing yesterday's clothes, his hair sticking up in gravity, daying angles. He expected Leontia, despite the early hour, but instead found himself face to face with a short, round man in an official-looking uniform. Samuel Cross. The man barely looked up from his tablet. Yes, congratulations. The man thrust a small metal box into Sam's hands. Your first session metrics have been processed. You've been upgraded to priority provider status. Sam blinked, still half asleep. My what has been what now? Your emotional resonance rating with Representative Leontia, registered in the 98th percentile of compatibility. Very impressive for a first encounter. The delivery man tapped at his tablet. Please sign here to acknowledge receipt of your priority provider kit. Sam awkwardly scrolled his signature on the screen. What's priority provider status? Expanded responsibilities. Expanded stipended. The man rattled off as if reciting from memory. Protocol guidelines are in the kit. Have a harmonious day. He turned and marched off before Sam could ask any further questions. Sam brought the box inside and set it on his kitchen counter. Inside, he found a sleek silver pin shaped like 2 intertwined circles, a new tablet with the interspecies relations, commission logo, and a manual titled Advanced Emotional Resonance, Techniques for Enhanced Diplomatic Relations. His personal tablet pinged with a notification. His government stipend had been tripled. What the hell is going on? He muttered. Flipping through the manual, the answer came in the form of another doorbell chime. This time, when he opened the door, he found not 1 but 3 Emotarian women, all regarding him with expectant purple eyes. Samuel Cross? The one in front asked. Ooh, yes. But I don't have any appointments scheduled until we have been assigned to your priority provider queue, she explained. I am nearly. These are Tasha and Valina. The other. 2 nodded in greeting. Q? What Q? I only agreed to continue sessions with. Leontia nearly consulted a device on her wrist. Your priority provider status authorizes you for multiple daily sessions. Our assignments were processed through central distribution this morning. Sam ran a hand through his already disheveled hair. There's been a mistake. I didn't agree to this. The treaty stipulates that providers demonstrating exceptional compatibility must be optimally utilized. Nearly recited. Your metrics qualify you for expanded service. Look, I need to contact someone about this. Can you give me a few hours to sort it out? The 3 women exchanged glances. We will reschedule. Nearly finally agreed, but the system will continue to direct assignments to your queue until your status is amended. After they departed, Sam spent the next hour navigating the bureaucratic labyrinth of the Treaty Commission's communication system. By the time he finally reached a human representative, his doorbell had chimed 4 more times with additional Emetarian visitors, all of whom he turned away. Mr. Cross, I understand your confusion, the representative said, her voice dripping with practiced patience. But the treaty is quite clear. Exceptional providers must be available to multiple recipients to ensure equitable distribution of emotional resources. I didn't sign up to be an exceptional provider, Sam protested. I agreed to continue sessions with one specific emotarian, not to open an emotional buffet line. Your compatibility metrics initiated the automatic escalation. It's actually quite an honor. Less than 2% of providers achieve such ratings. Can I decline the honor? Well, technically, yes, but she lowered her voice. It would violate Section 5 of the treaty, which could result in significant penalties. What kind of penalties? Relocation to a non-integrated sector, financial restitution to the Emitarian government, possible criminal charges for treaty violation for refusing to flirt with more aliens. Sam couldn't believe what he was hearing. For refusing to provide critical health services, she corrected primly. The Emotarians were quite insistent on this provision. Sampa said, his small living room. When does Leontia's appointment slot come up? She was supposed to return today. The representative checked her system. Representative Leontia has been reassigned to a different provider due to your status change. Priority providers work with a rotating roster to maximize distribution efficiency. Reassigned, Sam felt a surprising pang of loss. No. That's not acceptable. I specifically requested to continue with her. I understand, Mr. Cross, but the algorithm optimizes for collective benefit, not individual preference. However, she paused. There is one potential solution. I'm listening. You could register as an emotional resonance instructor. The educational exemption allows for more consistent pairing arrangements while still fulfilling treaty obligations. An instructor, you mean teaching other humans how to do this? No, teaching emotarians about human emotional patterns. It's a relatively new program designed to improve cross-cultural understanding. It would allow you to maintain your priority status while working with a consistent group. Sam thought about it for a moment. Would Leontia be able to rejoin my roster? You could certainly request her as a student. Fine, Sam sighed. Sign me up. Excellent. I'll process your registration immediately. Your instructional materials will arrive this afternoon. Your first class is scheduled for tomorrow at 10 o'clock class. How many students are we talking about? The standard introductory group is 12, Sam yelped. I have to emotionally resonate with 12 aliens at once. No, the representative chuckled. You'll be teaching them about human emotional expression. It's more academic than experiential. Somehow Sam doubted that, but he was out of options. 3 weeks later, Sam stood before a group of 15 Emotarian women in a repurposed conference room at the local community center. His school of Firth flirtation had rapidly expanded from one introductory class to a full curriculum of specialized courses, from nuances of human nonverbal communication to emotional subtext in Earth literature. Remember, he said, gesturing to the holographic display behind him, in human interaction, what's not said is often more important than what is. We call this reading between the lines. His students watched with rapid attention, their purple eyes tracking his every movement. Among them sat Leontia, who had indeed managed to secure a place in his class and had quickly become his unofficial teaching assistant. For example, Sam continued, if a human says fine in response to how are you, it could mean they're actually fine, or it could mean they're absolutely not fine but don't want to discuss it. How do you differentiate? Asked Tasha, who had become one of his most enthusiastic students. Context, tone, body language. As Sam explained, Leontia, would you demonstrate? Leontia rose gracefully and joined him at the front of the room. Over the past weeks, they had developed an easy rapport that made their demonstrations particularly effective. How are you today? Sam asked her with exaggerated politeness. Fine. Leona responded flatly, crossing her arms and avoiding eye contact. And what did that fine actually mean? Sam asked the class. She is angry, called out, nearly disappointed, suggested another student. Excellent observations. Sam nodded. Now, Leontia, show them a different fine. Leontia stepped closer to him, her eyes softening. I'm fine, she said, her voice dropping to a more intimate tone as she lightly touched his arm. A collective murmur rippled through the class. And what did that fine mean? Sam asked, trying to ignore the warmth spreading from where her fingers rested, against his skin. She wishes to engage in deeper emotional resonance. Valina offered to nods of understanding from the others. Human mating signals are fascinatingly complex, remarked another student, causing Sam to choke slightly. We're not discussing mating signals, he clarified quickly. Just everyday communication patterns. But Leantia's eyes held his a moment longer than necessary, and he knew they were both thinking about their private sessions, which had continued despite the bureaucratic reshuffling. Each evening after his official teaching duties ended, she would arrive at his apartment for what they now called advanced practical studies sessions that had grown increasingly intense and personal. The class ended with the usual barrage of questions that Sam had come to expect. The Emotarians were insatiably curious about human emotions, particularly about how feelings of attraction manifested in physical and psychological responses. As the students filed out, Leantia remained behind, pretending to organize materials while the room emptied. Your explanations grow more sophisticated, she observed once they were alone. You have become quite the expert one-motional dynamics. I had a good teacher, Sam replied, with a meaningful glance. Leantia moved closer, her voice dropping. I find the instructor-student relationship increasingly stimulating. Is that why you nearly made me lose my train of thought 3 times today? Sam asked, remembering how she had deliberately brushed against him during demonstrations. Perhaps I enjoy observing your physiological responses, she admitted, with a smile that had grown less alien and more mischievous over their weeks together. You're playing with fire, you know, Sam warned, though he made no move to increase the distance between them. The treaty administrator's already watching me closely. Because of the program's popularity, it was true his classes had generated unexpected attention. Not all of it positive. Several conservative human groups had protested the corruption of Earth values through alien emotional practices. Meanwhile, some Emotarian officials had expressed concern about the intensity of the attachments forming between his students and their human counterparts. Speaking of which, he continued, did you see the news bulletin this morning? The Emotarian consul made some pointed comments about maintaining appropriate diplomatic boundaries. Leantia's expression darkened slightly. Council Zareth has always been traditional in her interpretation of our needs. She specifically mentioned emotional dependency concerns. Our physiology requires emotional resonance, Leantia said dismissively. It is no different from your need for oxygen, except oxygen doesn't form preferences about which humans it sustains. Sam pointed out. Leantia's eyes flashed. Are you suggesting our connection is merely physiological? No, Sam said quickly. I'm suggesting that others might see it that way, and that could cause problems for both of us. She moved even closer, forcing Sam to tilt his head up slightly to maintain eye contact. Does this concern you? Would you prefer to reduce our interaction to standard protocols? You know that's not what I want, he said quietly. What do you want, Sam Cross? Her voice had that husky quality that never failed to send a shiver down his spine. Before he could answer, the door to the classroom slid open and they quickly stepped apart. A severe L-looking Emotarian woman entered, flanked by 2 human officials in government uniforms. Her skin was a deeper purple than Leantia's, almost indigo, and she wore an elaborate headdress that marked her as high-ranking Consul Zareth. Leantia said, immediately stiffening into a formal posture. Representative Leantia, the older Emotarian, acknowledged with a cold nod before turning her attention to Sam. And you must be Provider Cross, whose methods have caused such discussion among our diplomatic corps. Sam straightened, suddenly acutely aware of his rumpled teaching clothes and casual demeanor. Consul, it's an honor. I wasn't aware my program had attracted attention at your level. Indeed, it has. Her voice was like ice. Your school of Earth flirtation has created significant deviations in our emotional distribution protocols. Several of your students have requested permanent reassignment to human providers. They met through your classes. Isn't that a good thing? Sam ventured. Greater compatibility means more efficient emotional resonance, right? The consul's eyes narrowed. Efficiency is not the sole consideration. Provider cross-dependency is a serious concern. Emotarians who form exclusive bonds with individual humans disrupt the balanced distribution system established by the treaty. With respect, Consul Leontia interjected. The treaty does not explicitly prohibit preference-based assignments. It does not explicitly permit them. Either representative, Zareth countered sharply, and as a diplomatic corps member you should be modeling appropriate detachment. Not her gaze flicked between them. Whatever. This appears to be one of the human officials stepped forward. Mr. Cross, we've been monitoring the emotional resonance patterns. From your sessions they show concerning intensity levels, particularly with Representative Leontia. Sam felt a flush of anger. You've been monitoring our private sessions. Is that even legal? All resonance sessions are recorded for health and safety purposes, the official replied smoothly. It's in the agreement you accepted. In the fine print, maybe the second official produced a tablet. We're implementing a regulatory adjustment to your program. Effective immediately, your class sizes will be doubled, and individual students will be limited to 1 session per week with rotation requirements to prevent attachment formation. And Representative Leontia will be reassigned to the Diplomatic Corps headquarters in Sector 12. Consuleth added her tone, leaving no room for negotiation. Sector 12. Sam protested. That's on the other side of the city. The distance is irrelevant, Zareth stated coldly. What matters is compliance with treaty provisions. Leontia stepped forward, her posture rigid but her eyes flashing, with barely contained emotion. Consul, I must object. My work with Provider Cross has yielded valuable insights into human emotional patterns. Reassignment would disrupt important research. Your research has not been sanctioned by the Commission, Zareth replied. In fact, your resonance readings suggest you have developed an inappropriate emotional fixation on this particular human. That's ridiculous, Sam interjected, earning a warning glare from both officials. Is it? Zareth challenged. The readings indicate mutual emotional intensification well beyond therapeutic levels. Such attachments are precisely what the rotation system was designed to prevent. Because heaven forbid anyone actually form a real connection, Sam muttered. The consul's expression hardened further. The treaty exists to provide essential medical support to my people while maintaining diplomatic equilibrium. It was not created as a matchmaking service for humans with alien fetishes. That's completely unfair. Sam snapped, his temper finally breaking. What Leontia and I have isn't some fetish or medical transaction. It's a genuine connection between two people who happen to be from different planets. A heavy silence fell over the room. The human officials exchanged uncomfortable glances while Consuleth's face became an unreadable mask. I believe you have just proven my point. Provider Cross, she finally said, Representative Leontia. You will report to Sector 12 headquarters by tomorrow morning. Your assignment here is terminated. Leontia's composure cracked slightly, her hands clenching at her sides. Consul, please reconsider. My work here is finished. Zareth cut her off. This is not a request, Representative. It is an order. The officials handed Sam a tablet with new regulatory documents requiring his signature, then escorted Consul out, leaving him alone with Leontia in the suddenly too quiet classroom. This is insane, Sam said after the door closed behind them. They can't just separate us because we become too emotionally intense. That's literally what the whole program is about. Leanna moved to the window, her back rigid. The consul has the authority to reassign diplomatic personnel as she sees fit. So that's it, you're just going to report to Sector 12 tomorrow and we never see each other again? She turned to face him, hair expression conflicted. The treaty is precarious, Sam. My people need the emotional resonance it provides. I cannot jeopardize that. What about what you need? Sam demanded, closing the distance between them. What about this? He gestured. Between them are, you going to tell me this doesn't matter? Of course it matters, she whispered, her formal facade cracking. More than I anticipated. More than is prudent. Prudent? Sam laughed bitterly. Since when is anything about this situation prudent? You don't understand. The risk, Lean insisted. If the Imitarian Federation determines that humans are causing emotional dependency, rather than supporting emotional health, they could revoke the treaty entirely. And you don't think this arbitrary separation is just as dangerous? What happens when your students realize that forming real connections gets them punished? Lent's eyes flashed with emotion. The alternative could be worse. Before the treaty, my people considered more drastic solutions to our needs. The implication hung in the air between them. So what do? Sam asked, his anger giving way to a hollow feeling of helplessness. Lyanna straightened her shoulders, visibly reconstructing her diplomatic poise. We comply for now. And then what? I don't know, she admitted, a rare uncertainty in her voice. This situation is unprecedented in my experience. Sam reached out, taking her hand. Despite the risk of being observed, I'm not giving up that easily. There has to be a way to fight this. The look she gave him was both tender and sad. The consul cited Regulation 47(3) of the treaty. If an Imitarian forms what is classified as an exclusive emotional dependency on a single human, it is considered a health